When I turned, I was shocked with what I saw. We were standing directly in front of the hut when some men drove past of us, then parked. We were covered by thick forests around us so they couldn't see us. They dragged out someone whom had been beaten up very badly. I was still trying to understand what was going on when one of the men pushed the hurt man down. "Why did you bring him here?" The first man, who looked more aggressive, asked. "Well, the boss asked that he should be kept with his wife." "You mean the strange woman who had refused to eat anything is his wife?" Strange. Everything is wrong with that family. Everything." The second man agreed. "I knew they were talking about our family and calling my mother the strange woman, but who was the man that they called her husband?" I looked closely, but I could see his face since his back was turned against me. "Take this fool in there too," the first man ordered. "Shouldn't we wait for the boss?" the second man asked, lighting up a cigarette. Suddenly, the man on the floor whimpered and sobbed for help. "Please don't kill me. He's my brother." He called out to them, but they instead laughed at him. When he talked, I recognized his voice to be Alpha King Magnus's deep baritone voice. His clothes were torn to the extent that I couldn't even recognize him again. His arm was awkwardly bent, meaning that it must have been broken. I wondered what had made him get beaten like this by his own blood brother. There was something more to this. Then the Alpha never saw wrong with what Lucas did, even if he killed thousands of people. He was always right and never wrong. Now he was experiencing the same fate that others went through in the hands of his brother. "I think this is the time to attack," Damien said to me. No, there are too many people gathered here. They'll surround us in no time," I said to him. "Do you know that man?" We were whispering as we spoke, so they could not hear us. "Yes, I do. He is the brother to the man we are after. The husband of Luna. He must have been listening to the men talk. He is Alpha King Magnus, who married my mother after my father died. At first, I thought he was the one who killed my father, but I found out that his brother used his name to clear his mind. Now, his brother is also torturing him too. I wonder why. He's wicked and wants the whole world to bow to his commands," Damien responded. "I think we should save this man first." "No, if we do that, they'll capture my mother and kill her, especially since they'll know that we know about their hideout," I answered him, not ready to take the chance. "What do you mean? We need to help him or they'll kill him. After all, he'll help us and give us more information about Lucas and his men." "I'm not in support of that. Luna's life is at stake," I said, slightly raising my voice at him. "They will not kill her. Remember, she's a trait they plan to use to get you, so if you never come, they'll not think of killing her. I bet you." Damien was trying to convince, but I wasn't listening. No! I couldn't help myself again. I screamed out, attracting the attention of Lucas's men, who were arguing on if they'll start without him or not. "Who's that?" The angry first man screamed, getting his gun out of his back pocket. "Men, get ready to attack!" Damien screamed, and they all went to their positions, their knives and daggers ready to cut their throats. "No, don't do this," I screamed out, but no one was listening to me. Shortly later, the men at the door with their guns started approaching us, slowly and steadily. What should we do? "We fight them." Damien had a look of determination. "Everyone get ready to attack," he shouted, and soon I began to bear gunshots and screams of people getting hurt as the fight went on. "Protect yourself." Damien shouted at me, and when it seemed like I wasn't listening, he screamed louder, "Hide!" I got up immediately, running into the first, where I watched the two teams fight each other. At first, it seemed like Lucas's men were winning, but later on, my warriors took the lead. "Go bring in that man," Damien ordered when he saw that no one's attention was on Alpha King Magnus. Two warriors rushed to him, picked him up, and ran. "Retreat! Retreat!" The angry man screamed while running back into the hut with his men. I couldn't imagine what they would do to my mother if they found out I organized these men myself. "Oh no, they've run away," I said in disappointment when I found out that the hut was sealed shut. "What do they do now?" "We need to go back now. Some of the warriors are hurt, and if they come out to meet us here again, they'll definitely kill us all. We need to go," Damien said, grabbing his sword. "No, I won't leave. I need to see my mother. I'm not leaving this place." "You have to." "No." I won't. Why won't you leave me alone? I told you my plans, but you messed it up. You ruined everything. Now my mother is still in that miserable place with that horrible person, while instead you saved a man that doesn't deserve it. I hate you. I cried loudly, then bent to my knees. Damien must have watched me for a few seconds. Then suddenly she shoved me up onto his shoulders and carried me away without a word. I was totally stunned when he did that. Put me down, you psycho. I beat his arms and shoulders, but he didn't even flinch at my punches. Put me down, I said to him. I order you, as the Princess of Shadowcrest, to put me down right now. I'm sorry, my princess, but this is for your safety, he said to me and kept his movement steady and swiftly. I kept screaming and shouting, but I got tired. All right, I'm sorry. Put me down. I won't make a sound. I'm sorry, I pleaded, hoping he would listen. I was tired of shouting and screaming since it wasn't getting me anyway. I followed them feeling dejected. The plans I had in my mind had been messed up by Damien. As we walked home, I didn't want to think about the fact that I had saved someone I regarded as my enemy instead of my mother, who was the core reason I organized an army in the first place. When we got to Stormclaw, I was tired and frustrated, and Diane could see that by the look on my face. What happened? She ran to me when she saw the strange man that was brought with us. She expected us to come home with a woman who would be introduced as the Alpha's wife. What happened? She asked again. I was too angry and tired to respond, so I went to sit. All the while, Alpha King Magnus whimpered in pain as they carried him all the way to Stormclaw. We had to rescue this man and not her mother. Damien cut in, trying to save himself. But that was the sole reason for going there in the beginning. Why would leave her mother out of the plan and save a stranger? Diane complained. Stranger? He isn't a stranger. According to Naomi, he is the king of Ice-crest. He is? Naomi was surprised and taken aback in shock. Yes, I decided to bring him here. We could use him against our enemies, if you understand what I mean. Diane nodded, not giving the expected reaction. I wanted her to scream at her army, but she was understanding him. How did that even happen to be? Imagine what I mean. When the people of Ice-crest hear that their king was kidnapped, he could be used as bait, if you know. Who cares? I screamed at Damien. Who cares? I'm telling you that no one cares if he dies. After all, his brother's men were beating him up so hard. Calm down, Naomi. Diane pleaded with him, but I didn't want to listen. I was clouded with the thoughts of my mother getting hurt by these men, especially when they found out that I was the one who started this plan in the first place. I can't calm down. I know Lucas. He is a very dangerous man. He won't even hurt your mother. Diane interrupted me while looking blankly at space. She stood still and kept nodding like someone listening to a spirit. If he wanted her dead, he would have killed her when she was in the palace. I was shocked that Diane knew so much. Suddenly, she took a deep breath, blinking her eyes many times. What did you say? I don't know, she responded. Something came over me. She said and then held my hands. Don't be angry, okay? I listened to Diane when I understood what they meant. Lucas didn't want my mum but me. He needed me for whatever reason he had. Truly, if he was after my mother's life, then he would have hurt her when she was still in the palace. What exactly should we do? I asked Damien. We went for his wounds to heal, then we questioned him so we could find out the next move to make. Damien said, the warriors had already taken him to the town hospital so the doctor could see him, he concluded, leaving me standing like lost sheep. He has got some nerve. I cursed under my breath, but Diane heard me as she laughed. Damien? Yes. He carried me on his shoulders until we got almost close to this place. My screaming and beatings didn't stop him. You know he was trying to protect you? He was? By turning me into his personal skyscraper? That's crazy. It's funny when you put it that way. Naomi said to me, he is quite a calm and collected person. Everyone is calm and collected before you. I teased her. Later that day, with the help of Diane, my mood changed, and I wasn't as angry anymore. We had gone to the hospital to check if Alpha King Magnus was awake, but he wasn't, so we decided to let him rest. I watched him sleep silently as I stood at the doorway. My eyes hardened with contempt as I remember how I felt tormented in his palace. He was supposed to be my father, but I never felt like I had a father in all my days at the palace. His face was pale and vulnerable as he laid at the hospital bed. It should be indeed satisfying watching him, but I felt compassion for him. He was also close to his younger brother, Lucas, and loved him, but Lucas, being the mean one, cared about no one else but himself. I would really love to know why his younger brother was always after him. Lucas had always been the one threatening his life and making life miserable for Alpha King Magnus. When Lucas killed my father, he pinned it on Alpha King Magnus, who wholeheartedly accepted the whole blame without thinking of the consequences. I took a deep breath as I cleared my head, avoiding thoughts like this meant for the past. "What are you thinking about?" Disney caught me staring into space. "Well, everything. It hasn't been very easy on me all my life." I said, "I understand that, but you need to move on and understand that everything in life happens for a reason, and that the moon goddess would never forsake you." I still don't believe in that concept. I turned to her. "I mean this talk about the moon goddess." "You'll understand soon. You need some rest after the hectic day," Diane told me, immediately causing me to yawn. "All right, I'll go to bed," I responded and then went further. On my way, I saw Damien in the park, seated alone. He reminded me so much of Thorne, stubborn and proud but caring too, just like Diane mentioned. I went to him. "Why are you here alone?" He stood up immediately, charging at me, ready to serve my head with his sword. I stood still until he finally recognized who I was. "You scared me." "I'm sorry. I saw you and decided to say a little thank you." "For saving you?" he asked, keeping his sword where it belonged. I chuckled. "Don't feel like a hero. You didn't save me." I retorted. "A little sorry? Why a little?" "Well, because I still think we could have helped my mother out of that place. We all would have been dead by now," he said, going back to sitting as he was when I met him. I wondered what kind of man he was, judging the fact that he was proud like Thorne, but was caring too. "You don't have to talk like that," I told him, then sat next to him. He must have been shocked because he turned to gaze at me, but I ignored him. "You behave and talk like someone I know." "Who's that?" "Your boyfriend." He guessed correctly, but then I, myself, was confused and wondered if I should still consider Thorne my boyfriend. "Well, funny story. He was supposed to be my boyfriend, but he bailed on me and left me hanging." I chuckled. "What a beautiful love story, isn't it?" Damien could notice the sarcasm in my voice because he turned to me. "Whatever happened, I'm sorry about that. I didn't think he was going to ask, but because I wanted so badly to someone, I indulged him. I'm sure you'll like to hear the story." I began to talk without waiting for his response. "Well, when I met him, he was just like you, proud and grumpy." "I'm not grumpy," Damien retorted immediately, and I smiled back at him. "You may not know it." I told him and then continued my story. Anyway, did I mention that he was greedy as well? We started off as friends, then close friends, and then he asked me to be his girlfriend. I was so excited and glad, but then one day he suddenly doesn't want to talk to me again. Just like that. Damien asked, and I was pretty surprised that he was actually interested in my story. "I was as surprised as you looked, but I have forgotten about him. I'm over him," I said loud and clear. "No, you're not over him. You actually still think about him and want him, but you're lying to yourself," Damien said, and for a moment we gazed at each other. Then I looked away. Was he right? Lately, I had stopped thinking about Thorne and Laura, and I thought that they were all in my past, but I can't stop the fact that I still think about them and see them in my dreams and visions. It was horrible to know that no matter how I tried, these people are a part of my life that I couldn't let go of easily. "I'm going to bed," I said, turning to leave. "I'm sorry for not listening to you. I did what I believed was right," he said without turning to me. I smiled as I left, then shouting after me, "This doesn't change the fact that I think you're proud." He must have smiled, but I went slowly to my chambers, feeling tired and some pain on my left hand. It was slow but extremely painful. I took my bath and ignored it, thinking it would stop the next day. The next day, I woke up feeling good. I opened the curtains and let in fresh air into my room. A good day indeed. I was anxious to visit the hospital and see what was happening with Alpha's Magnus, who I believed should have rested enough to give us tangible information on his God-forsaken brother, Lucas. I brushed immediately and went straight to Diane's chambers. I was supposed to go with her, and then Damien as we interrogated the king. When I got to her chambers, the door was wide open, which was unusual. I walked slowly, then stopped to peep. The house was turned upside down as if robbers attacked. "Diane? Diane?" I called her. When she didn't answer, I panicked and was about to go call Damien when she appeared from inside the unarranged bedroom. "What the?" I couldn't complete the words. "Why do you look like someone who is about to cry?" She wasn't aware of the fact that I had almost screamed for help and also cried for her. "Why?" I stuttered, trying to put my words together. "Why what?" she asked, still surprised that I was acting weird. "I'm dressed already. We'll leave soon. I'll just get the healing ointment." Svea responded and went back to her chambers, closing the door behind her. I had almost cried, thinking that she was kidnapped and she was worried about the healing ointment. I rubbed my forehead slowly but steadily. "You think too much," I told myself. Soon, Diane was out of the chambers with the oil and was ready to leave. "Let's go so we don't keep Damien waiting," she said. I went to her, then gave her a hug and a kiss on the cheek. She smiled when I did that, even though she was puzzled. "Let's go." "What was that for?" she asked. "It means you're precious to me and you mean a lot," I answered while dragging her hands to follow me so I could avoid more questions. "I think it's time you found a man to get married to you. He must be kind and handsome too." "Diane?" "Yes, I'm right. You should consider it. You're not getting any younger." "Well, I'm not that old." I argued and laughed. When we got to the hospital, we met Damien at the entrance of the hospital, waiting. "He's awake," he simply said to us and led us into the hospital. Alpha King Magnus hale and hearty, eating the food given to him by the nurse. When we entered the hospital wards where he was kept, he still had some injuries, but not like the day we met him in the forest. "Naomi?" He stopped eating in shock when he saw me. "Did you bring me here? Is this a kidnap? Why am I here?" he asked. I glanced at Diane and saw how calm she was, so I watched her and learnt from her. I didn't say a word to Alpha King Magnus, even after he bombarded me with questions. "What am I doing here? Who's that lady? Who?" he continued asking, forgetting that he was eating. "Hello." Diane came forward, greeting him. "My name is Diane and this is Naomi. I know her. I know her. What am I doing here?" "Well, you were saved from your enemies and we need answered to some questions, and you'll be the one to provide those answers," Diane told him, then sitting at the soda in front of Alpha King Magnus. I joined her as we intended to interrogate him. "I don't need your help. I don't. Why did you have to save me?" Alpha King Magnus cried and it put us in confusion. How would someone prefer not to be saved? "Why do you say so?" "I have nothing to say to you," he said, pushing the food away. "I want to go. I want to leave. Take me out of here, now." "Mr. Magnus, I advise you to keep your mouth shut. This isn't your little palace where you can whine like a child. This is a hospital." Diane was not going to take any attitude from the king, and the fact that he actually kept quiet and listened to her made me smile. I finally found someone that could help keep the king's mouth shut and his behavior in check. It was beautiful to watch. As we sat some distance away from the angry Alpha King, we asked him some questions. "You asked why you were here, right?" Diane started. "Well, it's because we were kind enough to save you." "Actually, he was kind enough to save you." I pointed at Damien while emphasizing on the he. "You never liked me." The Alpha King retorted. "You didn't like me either, but why does that matter now?" "Let's go back to the questions," I said, ignoring whatever he was trying to drive at. "So as I said, he was kind enough to save you, but for good reason, though, that you would answer all the questions that we have for you truthfully, too." Diane continued. "What questions are they?" Alpha King Magnus asked rudely. "I hope it's questions that I can answer." He grumbled while shaking his head aggressively like a little child. "This shows how ungrateful you can be," I chimed in. He looked at me with pure anger visibly written on his face. He hated me, but I didn't care because the feelings were mutual, not one-sided. "So who ordered your kidnap?" Diane asked. "It wasn't a kidnap, just a little misunderstanding." Alpha King Magnus was beginning to stutter. "Who was it? Don't waste our time, sir," Diane ordered, and the king flinched. I was so glad that she was with me during this period. She had the talent of making hard things look way too easy and graceful. "It was my younger brother, Lucas." "Why would your brother want to get you kidnapped?" Diane went to the next question. I don't know. Alpha King Magnus turned his face away, not willing to say anything more than that. I glanced at Diane, and the look on her face showed that it was time to go hard on the king. He saved you, and he can also hurt you, so I advise you to start talking. I have nothing else to say. I really don't know why he got me kidnapped. Why does your brother hate you so much? I questioned him, waiting for an answer. You love him so well and go out of your way to treat him well. Why does he treat you badly? Alpha King Magnus didn't want to answer as he moped at us, refusing to speak a word. If your brother kidnapped you, then he's still out there searching for you, and he won't stop till he hurts you and kills you too, Damien told him. Believe me, I know this because I'm a warrior. You aren't safe, but if you tell us all that we need to know, we'll save you from him. I can promise you that. Everything Damien said must have worked because Alpha King Magnus sat for some time in silence, thinking about what he had said. Okay. He took a deep breath. The truth is that I don't like talking about this because it reminds me of my past and all the challenges I went through. We all waited so he could pour out his heart, then he continued. So when we were growing up, as the first child in the palace, I was supposed to inherit the palace and be the king, but I wasn't a bit interested in it, so Lucas took interest in it. I had already promised Lucas that he would take over while I traveled around the world because I wasn't interested. He paused, looked at us, and then looked away. He built his life around being the alpha, but when it was time, I was made the alpha. He got so angry, but there was nothing that could be done. Everyone listened carefully, even when knowing that the story was going to be a long one. I wondered how he could promise his inheritance to his younger brother. Lucas got angry, but he pretended to still love me. I know this because of the way he acted most times. One day, I had mistakenly killed a guard in the palace when I had gotten angry that he didn't obey my order. I knew I wasn't the one who killed him. I believed that Lucas had plotted against me because after the death of the guard, he manipulated and threatened me. He took a breath. I was going to be asked to step down as the alpha if they had found out that I killed a guard, but Lucas promised to help me cover up my tracks so no one would know. I agreed, and no one found out. But ever since he had been manipulating me to do things for him or he would expose me. He didn't want to be alpha anymore. He just wanted to use me for his wicked plot. I had no choice but to listen to him. We were all quiet as he told this sad story of his, but I was getting impatient. What happened? How does this connect to my father's death? I was impatient and upset that he was trying to be pitiful. Diane touched me, calming me down. I'm getting there. Alpha King Magnus continued. So when he told me about the Alpha of Shadowcrest, your father, I had to obey him again. He wanted to be the Alpha of the land and get married to your mother, but your father wouldn't let him, so he gathered an army, fought and killed your father. I know he killed him. My question is, why did he put it on you and you took the blame willingly? He threatened me, so I had to take the blame and then bring your mother to the palace so you both could live with me. In all those years, he was still trying to make Shadowcrest clan his, but he couldn't because the people of that land were too strong for him. Wait, Lord Lucas? Is he the one you have been speaking of? Diane spoke up in surprise, gazing at me. Yes, that's him. Do you know him? Yes, I do. He was the one that wanted to be the alpha of our clan when your father died, but he was desperate that he had promised me marriage if I let him take the land, but I refused, especially when I remembered the promise I made to your father before he died. We stared at each other in confusion. So you know him? I asked, transfixed. I have seen him a couple of times when he came to the clan to speak to me. Diane told me, finally coming to the realization of how dangerous Lucas could be. The question is, why does he want to be Alpha of Shadowcrest, and why didn't he fight to get it from you guys? Right, Diane agreed. We were a small clan with no king, so he could have fought us and taken the clan by force. Why didn't he do that? I and Diana stared at each other and then at Alpha King Magnus, hoping he would chime in and help us, but he said no word. Do you know the reason why? No, I don't. The only thing he told me was that he really loved Shadowcrest and wanted to be the Alpha so badly. Alpha King Magnus paused. I did believe him a bit, seeing that even after 13 years he still wants this clan. I honestly think there's more to it than what we see. Of course, that man doesn't just go after things because he loves it. There's a reason, and we have to find out immediately. My work here is done. Can I be released now? Alpha King Magnus asked. It's not a matter of you being released. Lucas can still come after you, and considering that you just told us all of his secrets, he's obviously not going to pat you well done on the shoulder. Damien said, and we all silently agreed with what he said. So you won't let me go? Are you going to kill me? No, I don't care about you. I blurted out, trying to shut him up. No, we won't kill you. Why should we? We aren't the enemy. Lucas is the enemy. Diane tried to convince him that we were on his side and not against him. What's your plan? The king asked us, looking at us. Obviously, Lucas must have heard about you, and the Luna was also kidnapped by him too. I curbed up quickly at the name of my mum. You saw her? What are they going to do to her? What? Calm down. Alpha King Magnus told me. If you're afraid they're going to kill her, then calm down, because they won't. I don't know why, but somehow your mother is important for the realization of Lucas's evil dream of being the alpha of this clan. What do you mean my mother is important for his plans? I asked. Think about this. When Lucas attacked Shadowcrest, he killed your father but left you and your mother. Doesn't that sound weird? If he truly wanted to acquire the land, he should have killed your father, you and your mother, so there's no one left in your lineage to fight him. Maybe he's just stupid. Lucas is never to be described as stupid. When he wants something, he'll do everything to get it. That's just who he is. Why do you think he wanted to get married to you in the first place? Somehow, you and your mother have a role to play in all this. Nevertheless, I can't leave my mother with that forsaken man. I have to help her. I told them all. The time will come. Diane looked at me with her soothing eyes. I don't know, but she always had a way of letting me see reasons. When we were done with questioning Alpha King Magnus, we left him to rest. What do you think about all he said? I asked Diane as we walked out of the clinic, followed by Damien. He is a king, so he won't lie, especially now that he needs people on his side against his brother, Damien answered. He was quite a smart wolf and knew exactly when to speak or not. I hope so. I took a deep breath, then felt Naomi place her hand on my shoulder. Don't worry, everything will turn out well, okay? She told me, nodding. I wanted to talk to him about getting his army on our side since we are together now. That would really be nice. An alliance wouldn't be wrong too. Remember, we need to keep building our army we could fight and win this war Lucas is creating. I doubt that. Lucas controls everyone and everything in Shadowcrest. Alpha King Magnus literally has no say whatsoever. Whatever it is, I'll try. All right. I nodded in response. We left the hospital to Diane's chambers where we had a nice cup of chocolate tea. When I caught a whiff of the aroma, I had the urge to take a sip, which when I did, tasted so heavenly. This tastes really nice, I responded, drinking to my satisfaction. What type of tea is this? My type of tea. Diane whispered, coming out from the kitchen to meet us at the dining. What do you think, Damien? Damien had kept quiet as he drank the coffee, savoring the taste and its luxurious taste. I had never drank a coffee that tasted so good. We drank in silence for some minutes. I wanted to bring up the topic of my mother again. What should we do now? Should we talk to? I got interrupted by the screams outside. It was loud and disturbing. What's happening? I asked, just done with my own cup of coffee. I'll go check, Damien said, running out like a prince about to save his princess from harm. He was indeed charming and cute too. My mind was racing as I thought about him, but I stopped immediately. I realized what I was doing. This isn't the time, Naomi, I told myself. Immediate, he ran inside the chambers. Naomi, you need to see this now. He was almost screaming. What happened? I was still asking when he dragged me with him while Diane followed. When we got outside, people were gathered around a strange woman who looked like she's been running all day long from the way she was panting. I want to see Naomi, she screamed. I turned to see properly who knew my name, but I couldn't get a clearer glimpse, so I walked to the front and I found out that it wasn't just one woman but two. Only that one was too weak to sit up, while the other was screaming my name at the top of her voice. "I'm sorry, Naomi. I'm sorry. Forgive me. It wasn't all intentional. I had planned to get information from Mascot. That was the reason I had to follow him." "Laura?" I whispered. The strange woman was still screaming when I found out. It was Laura, and the woman on the ground, weak and tattered, was my mother. "Mother?" I cried out, bending over to hug her, even with how dirty she looked. She looked so different from the woman I knew, but I could identify my mother even in a crowd filled with humans. Her long, dark hair was wild, her clothes torn and dusty. She had a bruise on their upper arm, which was pretty bad. "Take her inside." I ordered no one in particular, but then 2 warriors carried her carefully into Diane's chambers. I then turned my attention to Laura. She too looked horrible and hurt, but I didn't care. "You can leave," I simply said and turned around to go. "I saved your mother," she said, clutching her elbow in pain as blood dripped slowly. She was in pain, but I knew it was all an act to get back into my life. I stared down at her in disgust, not willing to bring myself to her level. "I didn't ask you to, so leave. I don't want another sitter around me," I simply said and shut the door behind me, even while lots of the people were still there, waiting for me to accept her. I knew they would offer to help her, but I hoped she wouldn't agree and just get herself out of here. I ran to my mother, to the bed where she laid. Diane was applying the healing ointment on her while she groaned in pain. The bruise on her upper arm was huge and shouldn't be overlooked. "Don't you think we should take her to the hospital because of that huge bruise on her arm?" I asked, and Naomi nodded. "No. She'll heal here. No need for that," Diane said. "You need to believe that she'll heal." I stared at my mother as she groaned in pain, and I felt for her, feeling guilty. Maybe I was the reason she was in this situation after all. I shouldn't have called her out. "Don't blame yourself," Diane said, reading my mind. "This isn't any of your fault." "You think it isn't? I brought her out to this place, and now she's hurt so bad." "She'll heal. What I think you should do is go outside and forgive your friend." "I will not do that." "Hear her out. I have a feeling that she isn't wrong at all. Listen to her, please. We can't reject her. She's a traitor. She betrayed me, and she also masterminded the kidnap of my mother. I can't forgive her. Never. She doesn't deserve my forgiveness. Everyone deserves forgiveness." I blocked out my ears, not to hear what Diane had to say. I felt my stomach burn and my heart pounding, causing me rage and to unleash and let it all out. Laura once had my trust, but no more. She doesn't deserve a second chance from me since she blew the first one. I knew that she was only pretending. For all I know, she must have been sent by Lucas to watch us and report back to him. I can't give her that chance to ruin me. What exactly does she want? I wondered out loud. Why is she back here again to mess things up for me? Diane didn't reply to me. She just kept quiet, wanting me to figure it out myself. I understood her and finally quit thinking about it. Laura should go to hell. I didn't care about her and whatever she was doing. The next morning I woke up anxious, feeling like I was drowning in a sea of uncertainty. My mind raced like a car on a highway at the thought of my mother's recovery and Laura's return. Was it connected in any way? Why did she save my mother? When no one clearly asked her, even after she told me that she was now on Mascot's side. Did Mascot put her up to this? I ran to Diane's chambers to check on my mother's recovery progress. Diane had encouraged her not to think about all that happened at the hut, but focus on recovery. "How are you, Mother?" She was now fully awake, and all you wanted was to give her a hug, but that would be impossible because she couldn't sit up. She wanted to speak, but the pain and discomfort she felt couldn't let her say a word. So I just encouraged her to keep quiet while I did the talking. "I'm so sorry I let this happen to you. Please forgive me," I pleaded as I held her hand close to my chest. "Please get better for me." She didn't move, but I could see that she was trying to smile and nod at me. I was happy with her recovery, and so I didn't leave her bed for any reason whatsoever. I fed her, bathed her, and helped her whenever she wanted. For days, I spent my time with my mother at Diane's chambers, and it made me so glad that we could share that bond we had when we were little. During those times, I avoided the talk of war, fighting, or even death. We only spent happy hours and happy days. I let her take things slowly, from moving her injured arm to walking slowly and eating as she used to before. I was glad that it was all falling into plan. She had braces on which helped her immobilize their arm and aid the healing promise. In a few days, she could speak and talk like normal people. She always told me about the accident, but I didn't want to let her talk about it. She was still recovering, so I let the issue die for that moment. I knew that Laura was at the hospital receiving the treatment. I had never gone for once to see her, and I was glad she was avoiding me as well. It was difficult to avoid not thinking about her and the pain she caused me. She had said that she did it for my good, but I couldn't bring myself to believe her. How could she leave me for Mascot and then say she was doing it for my sake? How is that possible? I hated the fact that she believed that she was the victim. How could she think that when she betrayed me? She left me heartbroken and confused, and now she's back telling everyone that she saved my mother. What nonsense. At the hospital, Laura was recovering from the bruise and lacerations she had sustained. Diane had told me how hurt she was and how bad it was. I didn't feel bad for her in any way. How could I? When I remembered all she had done. Diane had told me to speak to her once or twice, but I never listened to her. Yesterday I had gone to the hospital out of curiosity, so I could literally see for myself what she was talking about. When I entered, the usual smell of antiseptic and drugs disturbed my stomach. I despised coming to the hospital, and this strong dislike started from when I was little, the exact time I had lost my father. It was just like any normal day in the clan, when suddenly we heard a loud noise. We all ran inside to protect ourselves. I could remember how my father had hid me and had gone to fight the men that had the audacity to visit his clan. He was killed, right in front of my eyes. He died on the spot, but he was rushed to the hospital where he couldn't be revived, and since then, hospitals reminded me of death. I simply hated even the thought of it. When I had entered, the hospital was busy with the receptionists answering loud phone calls, the nurses running helter-skelter, the doctors all looking tired and exhausted. The hospital was indeed no place for rest. The usual smell of antiseptic hanging heavy in the air made me want to vomit. My heart was racing and my palms became sweaty. The nurse I met was kind enough to take me to Laura's ward. As we walked to her ward, my eyes scanned the hospital lobby, counting the available seats and observing people who had come to see a patient. Some crying, others looking anxious and nervous. Immediately, the nurse opened the door. My breath seized and I couldn't think properly again. I wasn't sure if it was still the hospital or the thought of finally setting my eyes on Laura. She had bandages attached to her weak body. I walked in anxiously, but with a show of concern on my face. "Will she be all right?" I asked the nurse. "You look frightened. Do not worry. She'll be fine. She looked worse than this many days ago." The nurse smiled at me and left to attend to important matters. I had been so scared of what to say or do when I got here, but now I was grateful that she was asleep. My eyes scanned the room, which was dimly lit to my taste too. I got a chair that was just right in front, positioned it by the side of Laura, careful not to wake her too. I sat down, not knowing exactly what I was trying to do or what I wanted to do. I just sat there staring, trying so hard to avoid her, yet to be healed face. When she had come with my mother, she looked more injured than my mother, and yet she was the one that had carried here all the way from I don't know where. I didn't know what I felt as I sat so close to her. But I know there was this softness I had for her in my heart. I wanted her to heal fast, not so she could stay and we could go back to being friends, but so she could leave so I wouldn't see her face anymore. I didn't think I was wrong about my convictions about her. She had betrayed me. Right in front of me, she chose Lucas and Mascot over me. I didn't want to hear from her, knowing fully well that she would try to save her face, thereby lying. I could only trust my mother at this moment. I could remember also that I had seen her face in my visions where she had been with Mascot trying to get on his good side. Suddenly, Laura's eyes fluttered open, staring right at me. It was so sudden and unexpected that I wanted to run into a closet or wardrobe so she couldn't see me, but it was too late. "Naomi, is that you?" She quickly stretched her hand out to touch me, but I stopped her. "Get well soon," I said, avoiding eye contact. For a few seconds, the air in the room was filled with nervous staring from her. "Are you still upset with me?" she asked me, quietly, her mouth still trying to get the strength to speak. I was only getting upset with the questions she was asking. Did she expect me to give her a hug when she opened her eyes or have a feast for her? I didn't have an answer for her since I was scared I would say something harsh to her, so I ignored her. "I'm sorry," she said again. I was torn in between anger and compassion. I remembered the good times, and I wonder what had really caused her to change. "I hope you had a really good time with Mascot." I signed, the pain of her betrayal still lingering. "That fool? I would never have anything to do with him. Naomi, please give me a chance to explain." She responded, but midway she began to cough seriously. "Where's the water?" I screamed, frantic and afraid that something would happen seeing the vigorous way she was coughing. I followed her pointer finger and got a glass of water from the dispenser, which I hadn't noticed when I had entered the room. "I'd advise you don't speak at the moment," I told her as I handed the cup to her. She gulped down the water and asked for more. I got her one more cup, which she finished as well. "Thank you," she replied, sealing at me. I looked away immediately since I would have smiled if not. I was so angry with her. "I'm leaving," I said, turning to leave. "Thank you for coming to see me." She responded immediately, and I stopped. I didn't want her to get the wrong ideas, so I had to make it clear to her. "Listen, I only came here because this is what a leader should do, and because Diane had pressured me to come see you. This is what a loyal person should do, but I know you won't understand it because it'll be too complex for you. Just so you know, we aren't friends. Just get better soon and go back to your clan. I don't care about you," I said, and turned immediately. Afraid that if I had seen her hurt face, I would apologize immediately. I literally ran out of the room, and when I had finally exited the hospital, I could breathe well. I took a deep breath again, then I shook my head. Everything that I had said to Laura all came from a place of hurt, and I meant every single word. I lied about one thing, though. I lied when I said that I didn't care. I did care. That was the reason I visited. That was the reason I avoided eye contact. That was the reason I wished she'd get better. I knew what I had said to her hurt her, but I just wanted her to feel how it was for me when she left me for Mascot. She had chosen to forget all the memories we shared and had chosen to forsake me. I wanted her to feel the exact way I felt. Was it revenge? Revenge was a strong word, but whatever it was, I just wanted her to experience it. I wanted to know how I felt. As I walked back to my chambers, my eyes were cast downwards, and I was in deep thought. My voice was a soft, inaudible murmur as I wondered what next. Lucas seemed to have lots of clans on my side. How would I get others on my side too? I wondered. Lucas was a strong soldier who had been building a strong army for a long time now. I didn't know how I could beat that. I thought of visiting alphas and convincing them to be on our side, but who would agree to go against Lucas? He was the king of alphas. I had to make a plan and fast, too. If Lucas hears about Magnus's kidnapping, as he would call it, and Luna Isabella and Laura's escape, he would surely come for us. So we needed to be ready for whatever he was bringing. I decided to visit Damien so we could talk. He was a good warrior, so I knew that he would have ideas that could help us fight this war and win. When I got to his chambers, he wasn't in at that moment, but I met his sister, who looked so much like him. They could be mistaken as twins. Her hair, just like his own, was a dark brown, going down her back, making her brown eyes look unique in her. She looked like a warrior, too, judging from the way her body was toned and athletic. "Hello," I greeted when I saw her. She looked up to me with a smile, too, and I knew we would be good friends. "I'm looking for Damien." "Oh, he'll be back soon. He only went to get some wood," she simply answered. I wondered if it was rude of me to wait, so I turned, about to leave. "You can wait if you want," she told me with a smile, confirming my earlier suspicion of us being good friends. She read my mind, and that was only a rare thing between good friends. As I sat down on the chair, she offered. I recalled how Laura used to co-play my sentences, and even when she read my mind, I would think she was using magic. "Thank you," I said, eager to start up a conversation. "I wouldn't ask if you're Damien's sister. You both look alike so much." She laughed. "Well, I get that a lot. We're siblings," she responded, going back to what she was doing. Seeing that she wasn't in the mood to discuss, I decided to let it be. She stared a couple of times. Then I knew she wanted to ask some questions. I hoped she would go on, since I also wanted to talk to her. "You're the king's daughter, right?" "Yes, I am," I answered, nodding. "The one that came back to save our clan," she said. Listening to her, I knew she wasn't trying to mock me, but I couldn't just believe that the people of this land actually saw me as the savior. "Do people see me as that?" I chuckled, trying not to think about it too much. "More than that, actually. They believe you are sent from the moon goddess to save and restore this land. It's funny, but that's just what it is," she continued. From her reaction and the way she referred to me, I knew she didn't believe what the others were saying. "You don't think I'm the savior?" I asked. "Is the look that obvious in my face?" "Well, let's just say I'm a good observer," I told her, then leaned in to hear her well. "So tell me." I have the look that she should go on with all she had to say. "Well, I respect you, but you came back empty-handed, after promising us that you'll get warriors of other clubs on our side. I haven't seen any tangible change, and yet every day people have their hopes raised. I just hope this town won't be consumed by Lucas's wrath." There were a few moments of tense silence as I thought of what she said. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound rude. I need to learn to shut up most times," she said aloud, but I stopped her. No, I'm grateful for what you said." I nodded. "I need to get a lot of things done, and I haven't been doing well at all. Thank you for these words." At that moment, it dawned on me that I had to do something fast. These people had so much hope in me, and I wasn't going to let them down. I needed to stop making plans and started making moves. I was all talk and no actions. I was about to ask the lady her name when she offered me some food. "You're in deep thought. I'm sorry for speaking so rudely." She had her head bent, but it didn't suit her. She was a brave woman, and I loved her for who she was. "I like your guts. Are you a warrior like your brother?" "Well, yes, that was before. Now Damien wouldn't let me touch a sword." She laughed as I took the bowl of yam porridge from her. It smelled nice, so I knew it would taste nice too. I suddenly became eager to talk to Alpha King Magnus and Diane. After meeting with Damien, I would have a general meeting, and we would discuss the way forward and the moves we needed to make, and not just excuses. No more excuses. It was time for me to take action, and I was going to make my clan proud to have me. I was about to gulp down the first spoon of my porridge when I saw Damien emerge from a corner, walking towards us. "He's back," his sister replied. I acknowledged his presence by nodding. He suddenly slowed down walking when he saw me sitting and speaking to his little sister. "Welcome. You have a visitor," she said as he approached us, his eyes wide with wonder and then filled with surprise. "Finally," I said jokingly when he got to us. "You're waiting for me? Is there a problem?" "No, there's not," I answered. "I wanted us to talk." I looked up at him with expectant eyes. He couldn't stop staring, and I understood it was the fact that I came over to his place without informing him. "Let's talk," he urged me. "No, let her eat her porridge first, then you guys can go and talk wherever you want," her sister replied, and I laughed. "Thank you for the porridge. This tastes really nice," I said, and took more spoons of the food. She went in to serve her brother, too. I could only wonder how smart she was and how helpful she was to me. Damien with me, making us laugh out loud at his very dry jokes. "You eat too loudly," I complained, joking. "He eats like a bear," the young lady chimed in. She stared at her brother and then laughed. They had such connections that I would have loved to have with my siblings if I had any. "Why eat slowly when you can actually enjoy your food?" he said, and I and his sister glanced at ourselves and burst out laughing. "Does that even make any sense?" I asked, but he couldn't answer since he was busy with the big chunk of meat in his food. "You didn't tell me your name," I said after I was done with my porridge. "Oh, my name is Elena," she answered, returning my smile. "Such a beautiful name," I responded, and meant it. She seemed kind from the way she offered me food and made sure her brother didn't stress me. When Damien was done with his food, I bade Elena goodbye and thanked her for the food. Damien walked with me, his hands at the back, taking every single step I took. It was evening, and the sun was sinking below the horizon, casting shadows of the trees. My mother had once told me that the most magical part of the day was not the morning or even the night, but the evening. And as I walked with Damien, I could see and feel it all at once. When I was young, my favorite part of the day was the evening. I started. Evening? Why? I thought you would say the morning because of the sun and blue skies and everything. Well, it was not until my mother to me how magical the evening could be. The part of the day that the people retire from the hustle and bustle of the day. That made me believe that truly evenings were magical, and I didn't stop believing it till today. That's a pretty story. You still think evenings are the best part of the day because of what your mother said? He asked me. Not really. The best people I know currently in my life, I met them in the evening. I just don't know, okay? You wouldn't understand. We walked for a few minutes more, and I knew it was time for me to say the reason why I visited was because he was getting tired of waiting. I'm sorry for barging into your house without informing you. I just wanted us to talk about everything. I'm so currently confused, but I don't want to let my people down. I need your advice on what to do. I told him, stopping. He stopped too, like he was deep thinking. We'll have to talk to Alpha King Magnus about this. If he knows that we're protecting him from Lucas, then he'll help us. I shook my head, knowing fully well how stubborn Alpha King Magnus could be, especially when he had made up his mind to do so. He was a desperate and greedy man like his brother, and if there was a way to save himself, forgetting others, he would do it. Don't worry, he'll agree to talk to us. He'll have to follow us to the clan of the Alphas who he is good friends with and ask them for alliance. That's the only plan I have at the moment. I'll think about it when I get some rest. Your sister. I was nervous asking him about his sister. Was she a warrior? What did she tell you? Damien's countenance suddenly changed. Nothing. She looks like one, I answered. Yes, she was, but that was before. She's no longer interested in fighting, and it's for her best interests. Damien replied. The smiles on his face had all disappeared. Elena is really smart. When she spoke to me, I could literally feel how good she was. She's a gift to humanity. I was stopped and interrupted by Damien. I know what you're thinking, but stop it. My sister isn't going to fight or help in any of this. I only offered my help because this is my job, nothing more. Don't involve my sister, please. With the look on his face, I knew he was serious and shouldn't be taken for granted, not this one. He was a firm man, a man of his words, a cold man. It made me wonder if he had a girlfriend or wife, possibly, or if he had ever fallen in love. Men like Damien were always focused on their jobs and their responsibilities. They were meant for war and battlefields and not for things as tender as love. Maybe that was what happened to Thorne. Thorne was exactly like Damien, meant for the battlefield, but I turned him into a lover boy, and because of that, he turned against me. People like him aren't supposed to be given the chance to love because they'll mess things up. Totally. I mustered up courage and finally asked him, "Do you have a girlfriend?" It was a sudden question to him because he turned to me sharply with his eyes wide open. "What?" he asked, even though I was sure he heard me loud and clear. For a minute, it seemed like we stood staring at each other as the air around us blew heavily, overtaking our breathing under the ever-growing moon. I snapped out of it immediately, asking my question again. "Do you have a girlfriend?" "No," he answered, looking away. It didn't seem so. I answered, looking away. When I looked back, he was staring at me. "What do you mean?" he asked with a baffled look on his face. "Well, no offense. You don't just look like someone who even believes in love," I said, not wanting to hurt his ego. "Well, love is for weak people," he said loudly and strongly, but the look in his eyes said something entirely different. His eyes looked hurt, and I knew that he must have gone through some hurt in the past. "I'm sorry for whatever hurt you," I responded as he turned to me, staring blankly. "Goodbye for now." As I jiggled back to Diane's chambers, I stopped to look back, and he was still there, probably still in shock about the questions I asked him. As I walked back, I noticed that the stars began to twinkle in the sky. It was such a beautiful sight to behold. I wished my mother could see it with me, but she had to rest. At the thought of Mother, I frowned, but remembering the fact that she was actually healing and getting better at Diane's place made me so glad. When I entered, Diane and my mother were discussing and laughing over a plate of food. I watched the two women in my life who have actually been a mother figure in my life, and I was grateful for them. "You're back?" Diane asked when she heard the door click open and saw me walking in. Yes, I am, I answered, shutting the door behind me. How was your day? It was hectic, filled with unexpected events, I said. I went to meet Laura. You did, finally. Diane's joy could not be contained, and so was my mother's. How was she doing? She seemed okay, I said, pretending to feel indifferent, but I forgot that the two women sifted in front of me could see through anyone. We know you miss her, so cut the act and make her your friend again, my mother said, and Diane nodded, agreeing. How can I do that? I asked them. It feels painful. I feel my heart breaking. I said, afraid that I would burst out crying. She doesn't deserve my forgiveness. I really don't know what went on between the both of you at Stormclaw, but she helped me when I was kidnapped by Lucas, my mother said, breaking the ice. I didn't want her to talk about this until she gets better, but since she's on it, I'll let her. I have to tell her, Mother whispered to Diane. For a minute, I had doubts and wondered if my most trusted people were also hiding things from me or plotting against me too. Tell me what? I asked in suspense. Laura actually saved me from Lucas. What? That's a lie? Are you trying to get her on my good side again? I asked, so many questions at the same time. Why would I want to do that? My mother asked me. I'm only trying to be truthful. You're accusing her wrongly. But, I stuttered, she left. She left me. She chose Lucas. How? You have to listen to her first, hear her out, and listen to all she has to say. Whatever you think might actually not be the real thing, so please hear her out. Mother pleaded with me. What I think might actually not be it. What did that statement mean? Did Laura pretend to leave me for Lucas for a reason? Was she acting all this exile? But why? Mum, how do we know she's not pretending and giving out information about us to Lucas? Anyway, that's what I had come to discuss. Me and Damien made a plan. I started to get interrupted. I'll only listen if you promise to hold a visit and hear Laura out when she's finally out of the hospital. All right, I will, I answered. I didn't have the strength to argue with my mother. Can we talk about better things now? I asked, and they smiled. Go on, Diane responded. Me and Damien came up with the plan that we would urge Alpha King Magnus to take us to his Alpha friends so we could pledge alliance with them. An alliance? Is that a good idea? Mother, who wasn't so skilled in things like this. Yes, of course. That's exactly what we need right now, seeing that Lucas would not be angry but very furious with us. Diane replied, and she was right. We'll talk to Alpha King Magnus and then decide how we'll go about going to different clans to talk Tonthi or Alpha. I know it might sound like it's too late, but there are other kind-hearted Alphas out there willing to help us, I said, explaining everything. Okay, that's a good idea, but I hope you won't be going with him. I have to. This is my responsibility. But, Mother was about to object, but I wouldn't listen to her. She was eager to let me know how dangerous it was outside and how my life was in danger since had tested Lucas so much, but I wasn't going to listen to her. Mum, I have to do this. Even Diane knows this. You know this too, I said and watched her turn to Diane helplessly. This is her responsibility. Diane responded, holding Luna Isabella's hands. It's her responsibility, she repeated. Then let me go with you. It's also my responsibility. Mother blurted out suddenly. She was trying to be by my side at all time, and I understood that, but I wasn't going to risk her life by letting her come with us. You need to get better, Diane told her quietly. Stay here and make sure you bring this clan back to what it was when your husband was still king. It sounded like motivation to my eyes, but I could see the desire in my mother's eyes to make things right. She wasn't going to be the kind of queen that folds her hands and eat whenever she wants. She was going to be a true leader worthy of emulation. As I tucked her to sleep that night, we laughed at the fact that I was the one waiting at her bedside, just like she used to do when I was little. I want you to take care of yourself, she told me, cupping my face in her hands. Please be safe for me. I will, Mother. The next morning, Damien was already waiting for me at the chamber given to Alpha King Magnus by the people. We entered, and he welcomed us quite happily. It was a room not quite befitting for an Alpha King, but he accepted it since that was his only option. I hope this place is comfortable? Damien asked him. I just stared with no feeling of care for a man whose brother was after my life and that of my family. Yes, it's nothing like my palace, but I'm grateful. I didn't want to come, but I had to because I had to hear him out. I didn't hate Alpha King Magnus, but I didn't like him either. He was not just someone I could talk to whenever I had problems with work. "How are you, Naomi?" he asked me, staring intently, knowing fully well I didn't like him. "How's your mother?" "She's fine," I simply answered. "Can I see her today?" he asked me, and I shrugged my shoulders, indicating that I didn't care what he did with his time. I knew he was trying to open up to him. I was trying to be careful because there was no way to know the people on our side and the people who are not. "We need to speak with you." "About what?" "We need your help in meeting different alphas. We are looking for an alliance so we could build a greater army than the one of Lucas." I spoke to him. "Would you help us?" Damien asked. "It depends on what I'm getting." Alpha King Magnus opened his big mouth to say those words. I stared at him for a few seconds. "What? Don't stare at me like that. I need to know what I'm getting in return." "Well, if you must know, we'll offer you protection. I'm sure you know your life is in danger since Lucas is after you too, so I advise that you take our offer. I know you don't understand. We just need you to send out letters to them and tell them that you have people coming for an alliance. You don't even need to move around," Damien added. We were sitting respectfully in his chamber, hoping that he would listen to us and help us. "All right, I'll help you not because you deserve it, but because I just have a good heart," he said, and I laughed deep down, knowing how selfish that sounded. When we left his chambers, he had agreed to help us send out letters to different alphas. "Do you think that plan is enough?" I questioned Damien, still in deep thought about the whole approaching alpha's plans. I had doubts, but this was the only tangible plan we could come up with, so I had to stick with it. "Let's go on with this first, then decide what next we should do," Damien advised me. It was still very early, so I decided to go home, but suddenly stopped at the hospital. I didn't know what pushed me to the hospital, but I just found myself there. I spoke to the nurse in charge that I wanted to speak to a patient, Laura. I acknowledged the fact that I was still supposed to be upset, but then I was curious. Mother had told me that she was a great help to her. And the fact that she was the one that helped Mother come back to me made some of the things she said true. When I entered the ward, it still smelled of antibiotics, which almost caused me to throw up. Immediately, I opened the door. Laura was up already and was eating. It took some time for me to gather the courage to see her, and now I was literally shaking and was shy to face her. "Hello." She greeted me as I could see the light in her eyes. Her countenance had really gone from normal to a tremendous happiness. "How do you feel?" I gathered enough courage to speak to her and not look away. "I'm getting better, thank you," she replied, smiling. I wasn't returning her smile in any way. There was an awkward silence as I was still deciding how to start up a conversation, and then the fact that she seemed so happy to see me and was not bothered about the silence. "Well, I came to see how you're doing." "Have a seat," she said, pointing at the sofa adjacent to the bed where she sat. Oh, I sat down quietly, not making a sound, grateful that she offered me a chair at least. "I'm so glad you came to see me," she replied. "Well, don't get too excited. I only came to verify everything I have heard. My mother said that you helped her out and that I was accusing you wrongly. I need to know. Tell me what I should know," I responded, looking at her. "Well, first, I want to apologize for how things went between us. I am very sorry that it had to happen that way. When I met Mascot and he pleaded that I come back to him, I didn't know how to tell you. At first, I missed those days we shared together. I wanted to feel loved again." She explained and at some point had her head bowed. "I'm sorry that I had to be selfish." "Go on," I urged her when she stopped. "When I had told you that I didn't want to go on being your friend, I felt so bad. I felt like I was a bad friend and tried to make it up to you, but I couldn't do that." She paused and continued. "Then I decided that I would use this opportunity to find out all the plans that Lucas had since Mascot was his right-hand man. That part interested me, so I sat up instantly." "What do you mean?" "Well, they thought I was on their side, without knowing that I was spying on their every move. Whatever I did made Mascot trust me again, and he told me everything that Lucas planned. I urged Mascot not to let Lucas know that we were together because I was afraid that if he got to find out, he would see through me. I was still trying to comprehend what she was saying. Do you mean to tell me that whatever you said when I confronted you was all a plan? Yes, I planned it to make Mascot trust me completely. I didn't tell you because I wanted to get that reaction of you feeling betrayed by me. I couldn't speak a word. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to make you look stupid. I didn't know how to react. Was I supposed to be very upset or calm since it was all a ploy to deceive our enemies? But then again, I was deceived as well. She was right. She made me look stupid in this whole plan of hers, as she claimed. There was no way I could trust Laura again. For all I knew, she could be a spy sent to Mascot to come spy on us with these different made-up stories. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. How can I trust you now? How can I trust that you are really for me and not against me? You once broke the trust we had for each other, and that trust can't be built again. I'm so sorry. Laura literally broke down like an infant of me. I'm very sorry. I was taken aback. I had never seen Laura cry before, but instead of feeling pity for her, I just suddenly felt angry at the fact that she was trying to manipulate me with her tears. What is happening? Was she telling the truth or was she lying? I was sick and tired of listening to her pathetic story. I couldn't say anything more. It was already a problem that she was here since she could tell Lucas her location and he would visit her and attack us. I wanted her to leave, but how could I do that when my mother was so supportive of her? I wondered why my mother was so firm on the fact that she saved her. It was disgusting to think that she had actually saved my own mother. The traitor saved my mother's life? It didn't make any sense. As I left the hospital after closing my ears to Laura's plea, I went back to my chambers. According to Damien, the letters have all been sent to the various alphas, and all we need to do is find a way to get to them and plead for their support. Alpha King Magnus had said that most of them were ruthless and had so much respect for Lucas and wasn't sure if they'd agree to go against their kind. I knew it was going to be hard, but I was going to keep going, no matter what. I remember what Alina had told me about making a promise and keeping it. I had made a promise to the people of Shadowcrest, and I was going to fulfill it no matter what. My father was known to keep to his words. In my family, our words were our bond, and nothing will break it. I had wanted to suggest that Danine bring his sister with us, but I knew he wouldn't let her, since it was quite risky in many ways. The day was finally here, the day when we would meet the alphas. We knew this journey could be dangerous because we were going to be going to clans where we had never stepped foot to before. It was all too risky, but it was a risk worth taking for my clan. I was at Diane's chambers, dressed and ready for the journey while I waited for Damien to be ready. Did you take enough water that'll be sufficient for you until you find a clean stream? My mother asked. She had personally gone through my backpack many times on her own, but she'll still not stop asking me questions. Yes, Mum, this is 500th time you're asking. I said and laughed, knowing that she was only trying to be caring. Be safe out there, she said once again, helping me up to give me a hug for the 100th time again. This time was longer than the others. Guess who's here? Diane asked, coming out from her chambers. She was still wearing her morning dress. Who? I asked, turning to look so I could find out who it was she was excited about. I knew we didn't talk about anyone coming with me, so I was a little shocked when I saw Laura with a huge backpack hanging in her bag. Mum, I called my mother. What's going on? Well, we thought it wise that someone just join you and Damien. And you chose her, I interrupted my mother. Well, Luna Isabella stuttered. That was when I knew she was put up to this, Laura. Mum, did she put you up to this? Did she? Diane. I looked up to them, staring at them, but they couldn't answer my question, but instead turned away from me. Naomi, I just want to come and help. Laura started to talk, but I shut her up immediately and didn't let her say another word. Can't you leave me alone? Stay away from me, will you? I don't want you around me or anything that I love. Please leave. Naomi, don't push her away. You'll definitely need help. I promise she'll behave. Just accept her to go with you. Diane pleaded on her behalf. You need extra help, so let her go with you. I couldn't understand what was happening and why they were so in support of Laura. What did she tell them? Did she manipulate them? It was so typical of her. Naomi, I promise you won't regret this decision, she assured me, even though I didn't believe any word she said. I knew she would give me a reason to regret this decision, but I knew I was only letting her join me because of Diane's pleading. I was determined to watch and monitor her well. This could be my chance to discover if she was with Mascot or now on my side, as she claimed. I was going to keep an eye on her and make sure I found out what she was doing and whose side she was on. Soon, Damien arrived, and even though he was surprised that we were being joined by a third party, he didn't object since he didn't hate Laura the way I did. Anyway, we needed more hands on this journey. How's Elena? I asked him, and he nodded, saying she was fine. I would have preferred her to go with us than Laura, but all the same, we started off, hoping that our plans would all come to pass. Mother and Diane waved me goodbye until the point where I couldn't see them anymore. Damien had collected the letters from Alpha King Magnus earlier on and then thanked him. I had asked Elena to keep an eye on him so he wouldn't make any stupid move when we were gone. Led by Damien, we ventured into the forest, seeking a solution to our problem and a chance to escape our downfall. We passed through treacherous mountains, deep dangerous valleys too. What's our first stop? I asked, Damien totally engrossed in making this journey a successful one. Damien checked the paper Alpha King Magnus had given to him. According to this, the Nightshade Park is the first. Why does it sound wicked? I asked, and Damien laughed. Maybe because they are. Yes, I have heard stories about how ruthless their Alpha is. I just hope Lucas hasn't talked to him first before us. Laura chimed in freely. I hated her guts. The fact that she actually followed us to this journey and was pretending that we were on the same page with her was so disgusting. Damien had no issues with her. In fact, he discussed so much with her that I was afraid he was giving her too much information about us. Next, we entered the thick forest, where the trees seemed to whisper the dangers that we would face. I was literally shaking, but it seemed it wasn't the same for Damien and Laura because they walked slowly and comfortably. I never let Laura walk behind me. I always made sure she was ahead of me so I could see her every move. Suddenly, just as we were distracted, there was a deep, dense sound of drums, and before I could scream, we were surrounded by warriors, all dressed in white with dangerous weapons for fight. I turned, but I couldn't find any way we could escape. We were all stunned because it was sudden, and we couldn't do anything. Who are you and what do you want? A deep, resonant voice asked. It was still day, but I couldn't see properly who it was that asked the question because they all had their face covered with paint. Answer me or get your head on a tray, he ordered again, this time louder. Then a huge figure appeared from the crowd that surrounded us. I couldn't place what he looked like because, like his fellow warriors, his face was also painted. What are you doing here? Who are you? Damien asked, trying to sound brave, but anyone could easily notice how scared he was from the way he sounded. Who are you? Answer quickly or I'll kill you. It was quite funny that Damien had thought he could kill this huge man standing before us. That's my line. The man walked slowly around us. Grab them. They're going with us. For all we know, they could be the spy we're looking for. No, we aren't spies. I screamed immediately as they charged forward to grab us. We are looking for Nightshade Pack. I screamed, and suddenly they stopped. I knew I shouldn't have said that, but they were about kidnapping us. It was better to ask and hope that they'll help us. The huge warrior who seemed to be their leader came to me. Why are you looking for our pack? He asked with furious but inquisitive eyes. I took a deep breath, thankful that we had finally found help. We are in search of your king, I said, quite confident about myself. It's very important. Lies, they're all spies. He called, and before I could say another word, 2 heft warriors were already by my side, dragging me forward. Let me be! I screamed out a bit. Just then I saw them grabbing Laura too, and I couldn't take it anymore. Let her be right now. Let it go or else. Or else what? The huge man went face to face with me, and I almost peed myself. He looked so intimidating. I glanced at Damien and saw how calm he looked. Then he caught my glance and nodded at me. I knew what he meant instantly. These warriors were the warriors of Nightshade, the exact park we were in search of, and they were taking us to their park, exactly where we wanted to go. I stayed calm as they dragged us forward. The warriors were mean and hit us when we didn't walk very fast. Soon, we entered a new territory. I was filled with a mix of sensations. The air was thick with the scent of rose flowers, and I couldn't help but notice the stares of the members of this park as we entered. I felt fear and a sense of unease as we kept going closer into the pack. It was nothing new, just a few new chambers, but just like any pack, it was quite normal. We were then tied and kept on our knees in front of the throne room, while the leader of the warriors went into the room to inform the alpha of the new development. The members of the pack seemed to have received information that strangers were saying on the pack and had come out of their different houses to see for themselves. Then a towering figure stepped forward. His voice was low but commanding. "Strangers, I was told you were saying on my territory. Who sent you and why?" "We are not saying to you, we are travelers sent by an alpha to come pay you a visit," Damien said to them. The alpha was suddenly interested. "And who is this alpha that has sent you?" he asked. "If I found out that you have been lying, then I'll have your head on a tray," he ordered with so much seriousness. "If you release me, I will show you the letter which he had sent to you through us," Damien said, and when no one was making a move to untie him, he added, "His name is Alpha King Magnus of the Ice-crest Pack." "Oh, Magnus? He sent a letter?" I could see the little smile on his face showing that the two must have been good friends in the past. "Let me see that letter," the alpha requested, and immediately Damien was untied and the letter given to the alpha. It took a few minutes before the alpha was done reading the letter. "Release them," he ordered, and we were untied. We were then asked into the throne room by the kings who treated us kindly, unlike the first time we met. We were ushered into the throne room and then given food to eat. Alpha sat with us and talked about how Alpha Magnus had been close friends and still were, even though they don't speak to each other anymore. I and Alpha King Magnus have had so many adventures even when we were so little. We got to know each other because our fathers were close friends, and now we've gotten to this point. The alpha laughed. We were yet to know his name or understand why he was laughing so much, but either way, we laughed with him so it wouldn't seem weird. "My name is Edward. I apologize on behalf of my men. I had instructed them to be active because we've heard about spies from different clans, so I'm sorry if it seemed like they were too harsh." "It's no problem," I nodded. "What do you want to be served?" "Oh, do you have some meat?" Laura asked, then stopped to see my reaction. It was clear that I didn't look excited like she thought I would, so she instead kept quiet. I stared at her and knew she was trying to hold herself from speaking up, so I did it for her instead. "I want meat also," I said, and with a side eye saw the happiness on her face too. It was too lovely to watch that bond we shared. We ate to our fullest and had more left over. Then we waited for Alpha Edward to speak to us about the offer before we left. The throne room was a room that exuded power and authority. The walls were made up of old but important paintings. Then at the far end of that same room, his room sat looking majestic. It was very beautiful, and I resist but admire. "You like what you see?" The alpha asked immediately he entered. He didn't call my name, but I knew he was talking to me and about the way I was staring. "You have a nice place," I complimented, and he smiled. "I know, anyway." He sat on his throne, then looked at us three before clearing his throat to speak. "I have read the letter many times, and I'm a bit confused. If you need my help, then you must answer all my questions correctly. We'll answer you accurately," Damien said, and we all listened to hear him out. "First of all, I believe Lucas and Alpha King Magnus are brothers, so why does it look like they're against each other from what I read in the letter and from what I have seen for the past few days?" "Can you tell us what you mean by what you've seen in the past few days?" Laura asked. "Well, Lucas sent a man to come speak to me, since he couldn't make it about this same issue." "You mean Lucas had already talked to you?" I asked in shock. Our hope was about to get lost. I knew there was no way Lucas mustn't have visited here. This was one of 5 powerful packs known. I was about to stand thinking that our journey was fruitless already. I looked at Damien helplessly, but he still looked on with hope at Alpha Edward. Well, I didn't listen to him, knowing well that Alpha Magnus was a good friend of mine while Lucas hated me at that time. Funny how he needs my help now, but still refuses to show his face. Alpha Edward laughed. So are you going with our offer? So what do I get in return if I decide to help you? Well, we'll make sure your warriors are provided with the best tools for the fight. We'll make sure that everyone who's sick in this clan gets heated and there'll be no food scarcity. I can promise you that, I said confidently, knowing that he would never resist my offer. You have an irresistible offer right there, he said, thinking deeply for a few minutes. All right, your offer has been accepted. My face suddenly lit up with a smile when he agreed to our deal. It felt so good to be in this room with my friends. I felt like jumping and did a little dance while still sitting. I could see the happiness on Damien's and Laura's face. It was indeed satisfying to know that we actually did this. I'm letting this happen because I trust Alpha King Magnus's judgment, and I know whatever course he is fighting is a just one. So, all you need to see is send a message, and Matt warriors will come running to you when you need them. Alpha Edward smiled at us. He nodded, seeing the happiness he had caused us. We won't let you down. I told him to make sure he could hear me. I know you won't, he responded. Will you guys like to spend the night here? He asked us. If you would, then I'll get a chamber ready for you guys. I looked at Damien to get a response from him. He only nodded at me, but I thought it was a good idea, but we were in a hurry, so there was no need to sit around. We appreciate your hospitality, Alpha Edward, but we have to be on our way since we have lots of clans we would like to speak to. I understand. Aloga Edward smiled and asked his warriors to lead us out to the place where they had met us outside the territory. Send my greeting to Alpha Edward. We will, Laura answered. As we left the territory, everyone who had come to see us when we came waved us goodbye. I wasn't sure, but I could see the disappointed look on some of the people's faces. They must have expected us dead and our heads on a tray. In a few minutes, we were back to the forest, surrounded by trees and birds chirping. I'm sorry. The once angry leader apologized and smiled at us. He seemed to be nicer than he was when we met him. I was only doing my job. We accepted his apology, and a few seconds later, we were on our way to the second clan by the east. I prayed they would accept us in a nicer way and treat us better than Alpha Edward did. As we walked tirelessly, I saw Laura and Damien talking about all that conspired at Nightshade Park and laughing about it too. Laura wasn't making any effort on trying to please me or make me forgive her. She instead talked to Damien, who was more friendly than I have been to her these past few weeks. I could remember how angry I was when those warriors were trying to hurt. Thinking about that made me angry with myself. Wasn't I supposed to be angry at Laura? Why was I supporting her and trying to help her from danger? We kept going so we could cover a lot of distance before nightfall. I was so glad that everything had gone well with Alpha Edward and the Nightshade Pack. We kept walking until we were literally exhausted. What's our next stop? Laura asked, literally panting like she couldn't catch her breath. I halted at the sight of her, trying to lean on Damien like she was going to faint any minute from now. I think we should put up our tent here for the night, Damien suggested, and Laura nodded. This place is to open. I think we should find a better place, I said, trying to point out to them how open the place was and why it wasn't safe for us to be here, considering the fact that our lives are in danger. Damien had to ask us to wait so he could go check it out for himself. Laura got her water bottle and gulped down some water and then asked if I wanted some. I shook my head to deny her offer while looking away when, in fact, I was truly thirsty. I had been looking out for a stream or water source where I could get clean water but had found none. Suddenly, she approached me, giving me the same water bottle she had drunk from. I advise you to take some. She handed me the bottle, which I took after staring down at her. Thank you, I muttered, resigned. I took the water and I felt good. At first, I had doubts about taking it, but when I took it, waited for minutes and didn't feel pain anywhere, I drank some more. You don't trust me anymore, do you? You got it. I don't trust you at all. I responded, answering her question. Even though I have apologized? She asked, looking straight at me and not batting an eyelid. Your apologies mean nothing. We are both old enough to know that you're just pretending. I don't know how else I could prove to you so you would believe that everything I did was for your sake. How was betraying me for my benefit? How? I was about to burst open, literally. I wanted to scream at her and show how hurt I was when she had left me. But this was not the right place, neither was it the right time. I'd prefer to be alone than to be with someone like you. Well, if only you would listen to me, I could give you the information I gathered from my little escapade, as you would call it. She said, waiting for me to give her a go-ahead. I just didn't trust her, and I couldn't hide the fact that her guts got me furious. She was the one that left. Why should I be the one hurt at the end of it all? How could I listen to her? We had promised to always be there for each other, but she left with no prior notice. How could I trust her again? For all I know, you could just be a spy sent by Lucas to spy on us and give him feedback on our progress. I'm sorry you think like that. I found a place. Damin unintentionally interrupted us, then observed us. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing, I said, quickly handed Laura her bottle back and went ahead of Damin. Come show me. We walked a few minutes, then settled down, our tired eyes searching the area to make sure it was covered and out of human and animal eyes. We've been traveling for a day, and the tiredness was written in our slow movements and deep breathing. Damin took charge and made sure we made a good tent that could help us settle for the night. He supervised the process, taking care of most of the muscle work to be done, while I and Laura were pretty laying around. As the tent took shape, I looked into my back for something to eat and found some mushroom in it. You brought mushrooms? My favorite. Damien exclaimed. Yes, I didn't even know that I brought them. I said, smiling, knowing that this was the work of my mother. She was the only one that could do something like this. I remember when I left my back with her to go get something. That must have been when she had hid the mushrooms in my bag. She knew I wouldn't have taken them if she had pleaded with me, so she hid then instead. As I grilled the mushrooms with the help of Laura, I was grateful that she actually put them in my bag. These are always so delicious, Laura replied. She had told me stories of how she always loved eating mushrooms when she was younger. Laura loved food, but she loved mushrooms more than anything. I remember eating it with my parents. They loved it too. We grilled it, cooked it. We literally made it in any way possible as far as it was mushrooms. She laughed. Where did you get these? They're scarce here, Demain asked me. It's my mum, I answered simply. Luna Isabella always pays attention. That's so nice of her, Laura said. She's always so caring and nice to me. Laura completed my mother, but I suspected that she only did that to please and wanted me to say something to her. Anyway, I loved mushrooms when I was so little. I think everyone loved mushrooms as a child, but when I grew up, I just couldn't eat it anymore. Damien explained. You don't know what you are missing, seriously, Laura confirmed. I need you to have a taste and tell me what you think, Laura said, coming to me with a plate which I collected and stopped some mushrooms into. She handed the plate to Damien, daring him to eat everything. At first try, Damien's face didn't suggest that he enjoyed it, but as he kept on going, we could see a smile appear on his face. This actually tastes nice, he replied and asked for more. We then ate together, trying to eat as much as we could, knowing that our journey tomorrow was going to be a hectic one because we were going to another pack. Moonlight pack? Huh? I haven't heard of that before, Laura said, still eating. Well, it's a small pack according to Alpha King Magnus, and not many people know of them. Hopefully, Lucas hasn't found out either. Damain answered. Later that night, as we retired to bed, I hoped that the pack we were going to see the next day would be nice to us and accept to help us. We needed more alliances to actually win this battle against Lucas.